99% of people feel this way because your brain's been programmed to keep you broke, stuck, and playing small. In fact, years ago, I didn't know this. I was 6 figures in debt, thinking I'll never be successful, I'll never be rich, and just feeling unmotivated and depressed. And then I discovered a little-known way to hack my brain to be successful, and we have the science to back this up. And so if your brain can be wired for failure, it can be rewired for success. I'm going to show you how. Let's dive in. I want you to think about these questions for a moment. Do you always wake up worrying about your day being stressful, and then sure enough, you end up feeling overwhelmed and burnt out by 7 p.m.? Or do you start a workout thinking that it will be super exhausting, so it ends up feeling a lot harder than it actually is? You see, the thing is, I used to think my brain was just reacting to the world around me and reacting to how I felt inside. But that's actually not what it's doing. Our brains don't just react, they predict. In fact, I want you to imagine your brain as one big prediction machine. And that's exactly how science writer David Robinson describes it. It's constantly making educated guesses about what's happening and what's about to happen using everything it knows. Our past experiences, memories, internal signals, emotions, and even the people around you. And the crazy part about these predictions is that they don't just change how we interpret the world, they actually change how we live in it. This is called the expectation effect. When our belief about what will happen starts to change what actually does. I know this might sound like pseudoscience at first, but it's real. Look at the placebo effect, for example. Someone takes a sugar pill thinking it's medicine, and all of a sudden their symptoms improve. The placebo effect even works when people know they're being given a placebo. Even when they're told outright by the doctor, this pill does nothing, they can still experience real changes inside their body that make them feel better. Why? Because their brain expects to feel better. These are called open label placebos, and usually the doctor says something like, even though this is a placebo, it can still help you. And that positive expectation is enough to trigger chemical changes in your brain and your body that start the healing process. Your body releases natural pain relief chemicals. It calms your nervous system. It lowers inflammation. So healing begins not because of the pill, but because of your mindset. By the way, if reprogramming your mind to be successful is something that you are serious about, it's a serious goal for you, if you've been feeling stuck, unmotivated, or just way off track from the life that you want, then I want to invite you to go even deeper with me on this. Inside our membership community, we're doing a full deep dive on rewiring your results and stepping into the identity that creates what you want. It's a powerful training and implementation where I'll walk you through exactly how to shift your internal identity, upgrade your beliefs, and train your brain to take aligned action so you can finally start living as the future version of you. I'll leave the link below to the membership community in the description so that you can join us. And so we don't just see this expectation effect in medicine, our expectations influence nearly every aspect of our lives: our health, our sleep, our stress levels, our memory, our concentration, work performance, and even our success. Let me prove it to you with a study on a group of hotel cleaners. Now, these were people who spent hours each day on their feet, making beds, vacuuming carpets, scrubbing down bathrooms. They were doing a lot of the physical work, but most of them didn't think of it as exercise. They just didn't believe it counted. And so the researchers split them into 2 groups. One group was told nothing at all, but the other group was given a simple message that their daily work, everything they were already doing, did count as exercise and that it was good for them. This was the only difference. And after just 4 weeks, the group that received this information showed real, genuine improvements in their health: lower body weight, reduced blood pressure, and a drop in body fat. Not because they did more cleaning, but because their expectation did. They believed what they were doing was good for them, and their body responded accordingly. And that's the true power of your mind and your expectations. And with the right ones, you can be more productive, make more money, improve your health, build stronger relationships, and be more successful. But the thing is, because our brain evolved with this negativity bias, it's a built-in tendency to assume the worst and stay alert to danger, we tend to expect the struggle. We say things like, I have to work 60 plus hours a week to make real money. Every workout is going to be really painful, and I'll never make enough money to retire by the time I'm 40. In the past, this negativity bias helped our ancestors survive, But in the modern world, it often holds us back because if you always expect the worst, you'll end up living with that exact reality. But the good news is you don't have to stay stuck in these negative expectations because your brain is plastic. It can change, adapt, and evolve. Even though a lot of us were taught that our brains are fixed and that once we're adults, our brain cells and their connections are set in stone or even lost, this just isn't true. Neuroplasticity is our brain's ability to wire itself based on what we think, what we do, and what we focus on. Our brain cells, or neurons, are constantly connecting and disconnecting, forming new patterns and circuits all of the time. And when certain neurons and networks are activated over and over again, they become stronger over time. Meanwhile, the connections you rarely use become weaker and can even disappear. And so if you've spent years telling yourself you're poor, unlucky, or not good enough, those thoughts become deeply ingrained in your mind. They're automatic, but they feel true, not because they are, because your brain got really good at thinking them. And through the expectation effect, the way our expectations influence reality, those beliefs can actually start to become true. So you need to build new paths for your brain to travel if you want to change your life into something new. You have to stop firing the same old neural patterns and start creating new ones. And over time, they become stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like walking through tall grass for the first time. At first, it's hard and it's slow, but the more you walk the same path, the clearer and easier it gets until eventually it becomes the default route. And in this last part of the video, I'm gonna give you 3 practical tools to help you do exactly that. Rewire your brain and take full control of your future success. Tool number 1, challenge the prediction. And for this first one, we need to go back to look at how your brain actually makes predictions. It looks at your past, it scans your environment, and it listens carefully to the world around you. Through school, scrolling through social media, and hearing all the stories we've been told, we've been trained to expect certain things and to make certain predictions. We expect work to be stressful. We expect making money to mean working late nights and burning out. We expect going to the gym to be an awful experience. But just because those beliefs are common, it doesn't mean they're true. That's why we have to actually start questioning them and challenging them. And so the next time you hear someone's voices saying, I'm not good enough, or I'll never figure this out, or people like me just don't win, you owe it to yourself to pause and argue with it. Seriously, argue with your own brain when it tells you that. Ask yourself, is that actually true? What evidence do I even have for that? What if the opposite were true? Because the majority of your life, you've been brainwashed into fear, self-doubt, and expecting failure. And so you need to start undoing all of that and start brainwashing yourself to succeed by challenging your inner beliefs. Tool number 2 is then all about reframing your assumptions. You need to change the way that you feel about them, because if you expect to feel tired after a hard day of work, you probably will. If you expect to exercise and feel like we're being tortured, it will no doubt feel like torture. And if you assume every Monday will be miserable, guess what? It will be. But there's another way to look at these expectations. Instead of seeing hard work as draining, you could see it as a sign of progress and something that energizes your mind. The tight burning sensation in your muscles when you work out could instead mean your body's getting stronger. And that's not pain, it means you're getting better. It's progress. Instead of sighing because it's Monday, what if you saw it as a fresh start, a chance to reset a new goal, a new day, to make progress towards what you actually want to achieve? And when you change the meaning of something, you have the power to change the outcome. Because if your brain expects something to be valuable and worthwhile, it activates completely different systems to help you cope, stay motivated, and even enjoy the process. So your brain will release feel-good chemicals like dopamine. And then that makes you actually feel more motivated to continue and carry on. And your brain will activate what's called the task positive network over what's called the default mode network. See, the default mode network is like your brain's default state. It's active when you're daydreaming and you're not focused on a task. But the problem is that it's biased towards negative thoughts. Whereas with the task positive network, which are the different regions of your brain that all become active when you start to focus on a task, any negative thoughts are pushed aside. That's why this tool is super powerful. It works so well. And we're going to be diving deeper into all of these tools if you're joining us inside our community to do this work with us. But again, I'll leave the link to that in the description below if you want to join. It's not about lying to yourself or pretending that everything's fine when it isn't. This isn't about toxic positivity or ignoring real problems. It's about consciously shifting your interpretation of your brain's expectations so your thoughts start working with you instead of against you, and you start creating the successful future that you want. Tool number 3 is trust the evidence. The last thing that you need to do is back up your new beliefs with proof. Take actions, even tiny ones, that serve as evidence that you can change and that you are capable. It could be something as simple as finally replying to that email that you've been avoiding, or choosing to take a 10-minute walk instead of scrolling on your phone. You could choose a good, healthy meal instead of grabbing fast food, or set aside 5 minutes to meditate before bed. These are all small wins. These are all wins that reinforce your new predictions and build stronger neural connections that say, yes, this is true. And that's how you create a powerful feedback loop of success with these 3 tools combined. And when you challenge your predictions, reframe them, and then build trust in yourself through taking consistent action, you create a flywheel, and your thoughts influence your feelings, and your feelings drive your actions, and your actions are what reinforce your thoughts. And everything starts to align with the same direction toward the successful version of you actually want to build. But if you want to go one step further and learn exactly how to rewire your brain to crave doing hard things so that it becomes even easier to take the right action, like working an extra hour on your business or making more money instead of scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, you'll definitely want to check out this video next, which I'll put up on the screen over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.